So this is going to be my top 5 things that I love the most about my Mini Cooper R56S. Number 1, and this is no specific order like the last one I did before. This is just going down the line. Number 1 would have to be the small factor. Now, this Mini Cooper, the R56, is definitely smaller than the newer generation, the F56, the F55, and all that stuff. Those ones are a tad bit wider and longer, and they can fit more on the inside. And this isn't as small as the R53s and stuff like that, but I think this is the perfect size of a car for like city living or something. You know, the R53 for me was just a tad bit too small, and the F56 for me is just a tad bit too big. So for me, the smallness of this car is just perfect for me. There are other cars that are smaller, like smart cars and stuff, but I think this is the perfect size to get in and out of parking spots. You know, it's not too long to the point where, you know, you're worried about somebody clipping you in the back in a parking lot or something. I can pull all the way to the front of a parking spot and literally take up half the space and still have enough room to fit 2 of my best friends in the back and 1 in the passenger seat and all of our fun toys in the back of the car, you know, without needing to worry about that stuff. I think that's a really cool thing about this car, and I love that a lot. Now, the second thing that I love about my R56, I would have to probably say the Mini Cooper heritage. Not just like the heritage, but also like the Britishness of this car, if that makes sense. Even though it's made by BMW and it still has some very German aspects to it for sure, I love the fan base and the people and the things that come with the Mini Cooper. It's so customizable and so British. A lot of people actually compare it in customability to Aston Martin, for instance. Now, it's not as luxurious, but it definitely has that uniqueness factor, that you can customize your Mini Cooper to the exact specifications that you want in almost any form. You know, you can customize the base model to the exact specifications that you want. It doesn't need to be the top of the line model for you to spec it out. You know, it could be everything you want it to be, starting from the bottom all the way up to the top, and that to me is awesome. The majority of the Mini Coopers that you see, you know, are customized to people's needs specifically. You know, they're not just like a bunch of base models and stuff. They're very customized. You know, the people have made them their own, and I like that a lot. Now, one thing that I love actually with that whole heritage thing, to add on to number 2, is I love that this is a very German car. It is, don't get me wrong, it's very German, but it's also very English. And I mean that in a funny way because, you know, with a lot of German hatchbacks in this same category, like the Golf or something, it's very German. There's no mistaking that it's a German car. There's a lot of things that are thought out very well. The car performs very well. You know, they don't really miss a lot of steps. But I think BMW had fun with this one because they knew that there's this aura that comes with English cars, that they kind of miss a few steps. So there's some character to it, you know? And I think that BMW kind of let go a little bit with this one. They didn't really stress about making this one, you know, the perfect example that they could. This is a very fun vehicle. I think you can just kind of tell that there's little things that they, you know, wouldn't miss in any other car they've worked on, you know, if that makes sense. And they've kind of made this one in a way where it's English but still German, you know? Number 3 would have to be the go-kart feel of this car. This car is so throwable. You can throw it anywhere and it will go there. It's not, you know, and it's so light, and it's the power is perfect for the size of this car too. It's not overpowered, and it definitely is not underpowered. It's actually, I think, the perfect amount of power that you could have. Now, obviously, I've modified my car to where it has a little bit more power and a little bit more oomph to it, but that's just for my own personal taste. But even when I got this car, I was like, I don't think it needs any more than this. I think it's at the perfect level of weight and power where it's not, you know, where you can't enjoy it anymore on the street. You know, you can really put the pedal to the metal in this car and you won't be breaking any speed limits. I think that's what speaks the most about this car, is that you can really push it to its limits and you're not breaking any laws while doing that. And that to me is awesome, because you can drive it to work and hoon it and have a fun time, and you don't need to be worrying about, you know, getting any tickets or anything like that. And I love that a lot about this car. Number 4, I would have to say, would be the cuteness factor. Now, I know a lot of people are always, you know, there's this idea about Mini Coopers that it's a ladies' car. And I'm gonna have to agree with you, there's a lot of girls that do have these cars, but they have the base models. They have just the Mini Cooper. You know, they don't have the Cooper S or the JCW. At least the majority of the ones don't. You know, there are some girls I've seen out there that have those, and good for you. I get a lot more comments from girls about my car than I do from guys. When I go to car shows, it's never the guys. You know, there are some guys that are, you know, Mini or BMW enthusiasts, you know, that know about this car, and they're, you know, they want to talk to you, and I like that. But it's always their girlfriends or their wives. They're always like, oh, that's such a cute car, I love it, you know. And there's one instance where a girl wanted to take a picture with my car, and that was awesome because, you know, it's not a supercar. There's nothing really fancy about this car at all. It's just a Mini Cooper. I like the idea that girls come up to me and talk about it. I don't have to go and approach them about anything, you know. So it kind of is a nice icebreaker. So if you're looking for a car that can break the ice, you know, with other car girls and stuff, this is pretty good at that. Not gonna lie. All right, number 5, I would have to say would be the design of the R56. In my opinion, the F56 is too bubbly. It's too, the front end I don't agree with. It doesn't look very good. The back end looks pretty good. It just doesn't, it's too big for me to be a Mini Cooper. It doesn't look good to me. And the R53, even though it's a great performing car, and it's way lighter, and the supercharger's fantastic and all that stuff, it was just too small and too cute for me. The R56, in my opinion, was the better looking car. I remember when this car came out when I was graduating high school, and I fell in love with it immediately. I thought it was way more mature. It was way more elegant. The lines flowed. The lines flow better than any other version of this car. And in my opinion, I think this is one of the better looking, if not the best looking, Mini Cooper they've made. I do love the JCW version of this car, of the R56, but I think the S looks a little bit better in my opinion. It's just a little bit more masculine. It's a little bit more elegant. There's not a single angle on this car to me that doesn't look bad, which is weird because, you know, there are a lot of cars that have really bad angles, you know? There's not a single angle that I look at this car and I think, oh, they could have done this better, they could have done this better. You know, if you look at the back of the F56, it looks fantastic, it looks great, the proportions are great. And then you move to the front, and the front just looks off to me. And then it was the same way for me with the R53s, you know, the first generation Mini Coopers. The back looked pretty good, but then the front came to a really narrow point, and it just didn't flow for me. This one, it flows to me. It looks better than every other model. And that would have to probably be my 5th one. So I think that that's going to be it for my 5 things I love the most about this car. I will be putting out a review video soon. I promise I'm going to put it out there. I'll do more videos. If you guys want more things I like about this car, if you guys want a list of more things I like about this car, I can do one of those. If you want a list of the downsides and the cons of this car, I'd be more than happy to do another one of those. Just let me know in the comments below if you like this video. If you didn't like this video, still let me know. Make sure you put a thumbs up. I would like the support, and like and subscribe.